Yes, everybody. Russ and the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe and well. Good morning. It's an early start. 12:30 kickoff later on today. West Ham versus Chelsea. I've already done my morning show. Now let's do the starting 11 predicted show. So, as always, anyone new to the channel, what we tend to do is we try and predict the starting 11 for West Ham ahead of obviously playing in the game in a couple of hours' time. Keep an eye on the channel. Anton will be doing the watch along and stuff as always. But I think in terms of the starting lineup, there's probably about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 positions which are sort of up for grabs, really. Not only due to lack of clarity about injuries, but also in terms of positional changes. Obviously, we saw at the Fulham game, he played a midfield 3 of Alvarez, Rodriguez and Souček. I don't anticipate us playing those exact 3 today, but who knows? Who knows? Has the lesson been properly learned? That's the question. I don't know whether it has been or not, to be perfectly honest. So let's get into it. Let's get swirling with the Merlin. Let's start in goal. Fabianski. The first one, I fucked it up. Areola in goal. Simple. No problem at all with that. Now, I'm going to assume, for the purposes of this, that Emerson's okay. We can talk about that in a minute at the end, but I'm going to assume Emerson's okay by what was coming out of the press conference. And again, the fact is, because they're on Thursdays now, he's always got that sort of fail-safe to say, I will assess on Friday. So there's always that sort of caveat with all of his interviews with Lopetegui at the moment. He knows it's not a big knock, so to speak, in terms of what Emerson got and had to go off at the Fulham game. I'm so sorry, jump nose, itchy nose. And so, apparently he had scans and they were okay. He wasn't featured in any of the sort of YouTube training behind the scenes at Rush Green type stuff, but that can mean anything really. And it could be, it might mean that he's training away from the team. He might mean that he's still not 100%. We don't know, but I'm assuming he's going to be okay. So with that in mind, Aaron Wan-Bissaka comes in. Makes sense. It's his shirt to lose. I've said before, I've said on record, I think he potentially could be our greatest right back in Premier League history. He hasn't had many to contend with. In terms of maybe Soufal, Zabaleta, Antonio, Schemmel. I think he could easily outperform all of them in my eyes. Now, is this the day that Jean-Claire starts? I would bloody well hope so. I hope Jean-Claire starts. He needs it. We need it. Mavropanos, I think, is a player who is useful as a backup. I think Jean-Claire has the ability to be a very good player for us, a very good centre-half. And against a very quick Chelsea front line, I think we need... Mavropanos ain't a slouch, but you need a bit of pace. And I think Kilman's not the quickest in the world. He's okay. But we know Jean-Claire is quite quick. So I think that'd be useful. Alongside him would be arguably the signing of the summer for us in terms of how he's slotted in terms of Mats Kilman. Pretty much every game he's been one of, if not the best player on the pitch for us. Absolutely hope that continues. And then obviously Emerson comes in. That back 5, I like that back 5. It's got pace. It can come forward. It can defend. They all have passing ability as well. And I like that. Very mobile, isn't it, really? Now, midfield. Alvarez is obviously first name on the team sheet in terms of that central midfield spot. Now, unlike the Fulham game, I think he will play. And again, this is just not necessarily my desire. I'd love him to play someone like Soler in that second role and then allow Paqueta to play as a 10 or play Paqueta then Soler or whatever sort of configuration. But I think he'll go with double pivot. I think he'll go with Alvarez and Rodriguez. but he won't go with Souček. That's my feeling. I think he'll go with Alvarez and Rodriguez, particularly because there was a bit on the website today yesterday about friends reunited and how great Alvarez and Rodriguez play together and stuff like that. For me, that's the foundation, and I'm okay with playing two CDMs as long as the rest are attacking players in that setup. The other option is Soler comes in and plays as an 8 with Alvarez in front, or Paqueta plays an 8 and Soler plays as a 10 potentially. You'll see Carlos get more minutes soon. I'm pretty sure for that. Bowen on the right, and again, this is assumption. I'm assuming that we don't have any injury problems, and we'll go through the other options. And that's the thing. There's about a dozen options we could do. I reckon easily I could come up with. I think Paqueta's back in the side. I think he was only dropped last week because of the travel aspect. Because as soon as he came on, he clearly only had 45 minutes in him. So that's what I think happened, to be honest. Kudus on the left, we know he's wasted on the left, but I think he'll play Kudus on the left to offer balance to the right hand side as well. And I'm assuming that Falcomania is running wild on Chelsea today. There has been no real discussion about that in the press conference. However, the Stars' Jack Rossier said on, where was it? I thought I kept it. Did I keep it? Maybe not. I thought I kept it. Anyway, with he basically pressed Lopetegui in the press conference for an update on Fulkrug, and basically he was saying he was training ahead of the Chelsea game. And still waiting to see, obviously waiting for expectations and But I'm going to say this is it. This is it. If he's not 100% fit, then obviously there's other options. There's obviously Antonio. Antonio could play that role. After he was hooked off at half time against Fulham, I don't know whether. But then Antonio is one of these players who, when it comes to the big games or the London games, he does seem to just, and particularly home as well, and he does seem to sometimes put a performance in. But that's the word, sometimes. With me also, I think the choice of Antonio is within the space of 10 minutes, you know if it's a good game for him or a bad game for him. It's almost like you want to give him 10 minutes, and if not, hook him off straight away. Because, as I said, I've always said it, if he plays well, the team play well. If he doesn't play well, the team do not play well. And that's always been the issue with Antonio. The other option, we put Ings in. Now, obviously, we wouldn't get necessarily the aerial threat, so to speak, or the physicality up front as a Fulkrug or Antonio would. But, you're thinking utilising Ings in the right way, getting crosses into the box, creating assists for him rather than letting him drop off as a 10. He showed the Fulham game, he gives him a half decent chance and he'll score. The other option is Bowen up top. And we move everyone around a bit. Bowen goes up on top, Kudus goes to the right, and Somerville comes in. And Somerville is someone who's been impressing recently in training and stuff, and I thought he had a good cameo against Fulham. He needs to start starting, full stop. I was reading an article the other day from one of the sites, and they spoke about how Tim Steidten has challenged Somerville to be like Mo, to be like Kudus, and make that type of impact on the side that he made in the 12 months that he's been here in terms of Mohamed Kudus. And so, but he can only make the impact if he's playing. And then obviously you've got the issues in the sort of the fullback areas. Quite simply, if Emerson isn't fit, then for me, he goes onto the left. Wan-Bissaka goes onto the left, and Soufal onto the right. That's Soufal. Ideally, what worries me is the pace of Chelsea. Particularly, I imagine Sancho might start by the sounds of it. If he's out on the left against Soufal, he's going to have an absolute field day. And that's the difficulty now, Vlad. Great going forward, good assister, but very similar to when he was coming to the end of Zabaleta's time at West Ham, when he was always up against pace, he suffered. I mean, he's a wily old pro, old Sufal. We'll be able to put a few, studs down the back of the heels, back of the thighs, little pulls of the shirt, but balls over the top, he ain't got a chance. That's why I think with Taliba there, rather than a Mavropanos, he can hopefully have the awareness to cover that, both from a a visual perspective, but also from a pace perspective as well. But yeah, that's the team I'm going with today. Let me know in the comments, but what you think. As I said, easily Soler could come in and could play the Rodriguez role. He might even play Alvarez, Paqueta, Souček. Thomas might get minutes. He might get a start. But if you see how his season's gone so far, he started, played full 19. He's been dropping off in terms of the time he's been playing almost every game in order. But anyway, let me know what you think. Keep an eye on the channel for Anton. If you are going to the game and you see me running about after the game talking to Anton on my phone, come over and say hello. Come on over and say hello. Might have some gifts if you come over and say hello and you answer a question with our friends at Alloy Collectors. There they are. The friends at Alloy Collectors. Got some metal shirts to give away. Anyway, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith, and come on, you bloody, bloody irons. Irons!